Yep.
In a week in wrestling where once again the WWE has a new platform, there's been a bill to clash in Paris, and potentially three wrestlers have left the WWE, but is two of them just a smokescreen? In AEW, we're moving towards Forbidden Door. However, nothing is announced for Hangman Page, and in TNA wrestling, we're about to visit memory lane at Bound for Glory as two iconic tag teams will do battle once again. And of course, we're 6 weeks away from our show with Ignite. Buckle up, and we've got some news to bring you from that if you haven't read your social media this week. As my co host stretches his Ignite t shirt out, he's the problem child who's been to one country or another, down to Cornwall, and returned. Is Mr. Dave Robinson. Evening, Dave.
Evening, mate. You okay?
Yeah, it's been a week, hasn't it? It's
Yeah,
been
quite a week.
yeah, what a week. In a week that we've interviewed Brian Cage as well. Just to touch on that for those of you that are wondering, because we know we announced it, the interview has been done. There is a lot of issues with the quality of the video that Brian had there. He had a lot of internet issues. He had to do it on his phone. There's obviously when you do an interview on your phone, there's a lot of stuff that happens on it. Sound was a bit iffy, so it's there. It's just whether we will put it out there is the other thing. But it was still a good interview, Dave, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. It was frustrating with the audio because it was a really good interview. Um, we were on for a best part of an hour as well. So yeah, I didn't really realize how bad the audio was till we finished. But hopefully, if it is that it doesn't go out, perhaps Brian would be open to doing a round two with us at some point.
Yeah.
And we could summarize the stuff that we chatted about. We obviously spoke about his injury, we spoke about Forbidden Door, but let's say hopefully we'll still be able to get it out there. But yeah, it was good fun being able to talk to him. It was just a shame that he had those issues.
Yes, and the recovery may have had a setback from what he was saying, but again, hopefully you guys will be able to listen to it this week. I just want to quickly shout out Exodus Pro Wrestling. I watched this morning, watched the Throne on the NWA YouTube channel, free pay-per-view for anyone that wants to go out there. And I will say that the territory future in the NWA is looking very bright. Myself and Fiona will be reviewing that this week for your viewing pleasure and ours. Right, enough of that. Let's get on to the week in wrestling. We'll start always, as always, Dave, with the Fed, so to speak, or the WWE, announcing a new deal with ASBSPN. Premium live events will now be $30 for those lovely people in America instead of the $9.99 on the WWE network. Nick Khan is confident that fans are going to be tuning in still. Um, is this getting to be a bit of a piss take now for these WWE fans? I mean, look, we're lucky, we're fortunate. If we've got a Netflix account, we get it. So we're in a pretty much an interesting part for us where we get a better deal than America. But are they beginning now? And we'll touch on the AEW rating in a minute because that went up this week for the first, probably not say for the first time, but the cable rating went up. Are fans starting to turn their back a little bit on the WWE, and perhaps are they tuning in to AEW on a Wednesday night?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Two kind of negative things really happened. One, as much as you could say that Brock Lesnar's return was a positive, and it was a pretty big moment. There are people very disgruntled and not happy with that. Also, to announce a price hike essentially. From my understanding, you might be able to add a bit more context, but anybody that already has cable with ESPN, there won't be any chat. They won't have to pay anything.
Okay.
That's my understanding. So there are people out there similar to us here with Sky Sports. So if you've got Sky Sports here, it's the equivalent of WWE going back on Sky Sports, from what I understand.
Right.
But apparently in the States, it's not a majority of people with ESPN or
Yeah.
with a Sky alternative. I think it's around 30% of people in the States. So there will be a lot of people affected by that. Um, I suppose you caveat it with, the days of the network, and perhaps we've got a lot of content for not a lot of money. compared to what we were
Mhm.
used to in the days before the network when you had to pay for every pay-per-view. I remember the days we had to do that, didn't we? You know, here when it was on Sky, it was
Yeah,
generally cheaper than the States, but you're still looking between 20 and 30 pound for a
yeah.
pay-per-view at the time. So it's a shock to the system for people that have got accustomed to having so much wrestling content for such little outlay. Yeah, it surely could have something to do with a lot of people seemingly switching over this week because I think those ratings for Dynamite were significantly better, or there was a significant bump in those ratings from what I've read.
There was, yeah. And thank fuck for mothers back then because that was always on the cable bill that I didn't pay
Yeah, yeah.
back then. So thank Christ that she enjoyed wrestling as well. But you're right. The price hike is going to affect a lot of people, and perhaps it did have an effect. I suppose, and to be fair to AEW, it wasn't as if a lot was particularly announced on Dynamite that would have got people turning the channel. From your
No.
usual fans, right? So
Yeah,
it'll
yeah.
be interesting. This week will be interesting. Obviously, we don't know the max rating. Anyone that I hate online when they go, you got to add 500,000 viewers for max. Bullshit. You don't know how many people. You can't say 1,000% that 500,000 people tune in from max every week. It could be more. It could be less than that. And until max release those numbers, we won't know. But the cable figures were up, which was quite an interesting fact anyway for the week. However, we're moving on to Clash in Paris in a couple of weeks. A great one for us because that means the pay-per-view is going to be on at 7 o'clock of the night. So we get a
Like
nice
that.
one. A bit of that. SmackDown will be on live at 8 o'clock, that or 7 o'clock. So that's a great one for us as well, coming to the end of the month. So we do have now an understanding of some of the matches. Roman Reigns is now on the poster, so whatever time off he's taken is going to be quite quick, or he's going to be doing it in between filming Street Fighter, the movie. He was the talk of him being written off of Raw to do
Yeah.
that, but it seems like he's still going to be there. CM Punk's on all of the European leg or the English leg, shall we say, of the tour. His match hasn't been announced for Clash in Paris, but speculation is that he could be teaming with Roman Reigns and or LA Knight against Seth's the Vision, as they're called now. But predominantly, one of the matches that has been announced, obviously Stephanie Vacquer will take on Tiffany Stratton for the Women's Championship, which should be a great bout. But the one in particular or at least one rumored match potentially is Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. For those of you that's watched SmackDown will have noticed the ending of SmackDown with uh, Drew McIntyre giving the Claymore kick to Cody Rhodes actually through the side of the at the bottom of the announce. So it'd be like Punk at the last All In that he was at with Samoa Joe. But the match that actually got announced, which I was going to get to, John Cena against Logan Paul. John Cena did mention he's freeing up one of his 11 more appearances left for a match against Brock. It's not announced when. Could that be his last opponent, Dave? I'll come to you on that in a minute. But Cena and Logan Paul was rumored for a long time, ever since Cena announced this date. So I'm not surprised it's happening. Not necessarily surprised that it's in France. Does it though give the WWE an easy out to put Cena over in this one against Logan?
Yeah, I think they've got to be honest. I mean, when I've thought about Cena's run and what I wanted to see, um, I thought perhaps he could build a couple of stars on his way out.
Yeah.
But I don't think Logan necessarily needs that victory. I think having that marquee match against Cena, win, lose or draw, I think Logan does well out of it. That's a good thing for him. He's not buried by losing to Cena. I think with what's happened now and Cena's a face again, I think people are going to be expecting John to win the majority of these final matches as he goes out and goes out on a high. His very last match will be an interesting one. And, if that is against Brock Lesnar, I can't imagine he wins that. There is a rumor that's doing the rounds. Don't know if you've heard it about Edge, Adam Copeland, being a potential opponent. Obviously, that depends on his contract status with AEW. It also depends on if any time's added due to injury. Um, but that name has been doing the rounds. I think there is a school of thought that if the contract was to run as people think it is, then he would be available towards the back end of those before Cena hangs up his boots. But yeah, in terms of the Logan match, I think that's good. I think it's a good match. I like it. Fully expecting Cena to play the hits and come out on top. But yeah, I think the Cody Drew match as well will be another one. I think Vaquer will probably beat Tiffany Stratton. I think there'll be a title change there. Yeah, I think that'd be a good place to do it as well. So I think the card is taking shape nicely. And what I'm really excited about is the crowd because of what we saw a couple of years ago. Is it Leon with a Backlash, I believe?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's not something that you give too much thought to, I suppose, in the past. But just given how good that France crowd was, add some of these international crowds, I'm really looking forward to the show just because of where it is as well. So I think it would be a great pay-per-view and or a premium live event, and as you said, a great time for us as well in the UK.
Yeah, marvelous time for us. The Cena Edge thing you hit it now. I was doing a little bit for Worldwide Wrestling UK earlier in the week with former darts player Matthew Egrin, and those clips will be coming out. And I said that the one piece to John Cena's retirement that was missing, and arguably John Cena's greatest feud or enemy during his time in the WWE was Edge, Adam Copeland. I don't see it happening, unfortunately. I don't think it will. Um, I just wish, and this is the time where you do wish that there wasn't such a big issue with WWE and AEW, because if there wasn't, I personally think, and I still, and to be fair, I think if they approached AEW and they done it in the right way and they mentioned that he was from AEW, and I think that was the big issue why something didn't happen. I can't remember what it was, but there was something didn't happen
Billy Gunn
recently.
on it. Was it Billy Gunn a couple of years ago?
Might have been because he
The
did do,
DX reunion.
yeah, he did do the Hall of Fame, didn't he? And then
Yeah.
obviously they took the piss out of him in that, which didn't go down very well, I would assume. I'm sure there was something else. Oh shit, Luger, Sting.
Oh yes, yeah.
Um, I personally think that if WWE went out, reached out and said to Tony Khan, "We want Copeland," he will probably lose the match against John Cena. I would imagine that he would like him in for a couple of days. And I think if it was done like, we'll mention that he's all elite wrestling. We won't take the piss out of the company. We want to do this properly because John wants it. Would you be able? And I think they would. I think as long as it was done right, I don't know how you feel, but as long as it was done right, whether you can trust the WWE or not is another thing. But as long as it was done right, I think AEW would allow it to happen with Copeland still in contract.
Yeah, I think AEW would be open to it, I believe, given who the names involved, given that it is Adam Copeland, given that it's John Cena. I mean, fantasy booking, but if we could have a landscape where Cena could go over to AEW for that match, I know that would never happen. But, I think it would be great for everyone involved for that match to happen, whichever way it can be done. Um, yeah, we can dream, we can fantasy book. I mean, as far as I'm aware, once Copeland's contract is up, uh, would you say that he'd be hanging up his boots at the same time then? I wouldn't expect him to be signing another contract, but more appearances. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. But I think for Cena's legacy, his run, his rivalry with Edge, I think even if it's just a one-off match, just
Yeah.
a one-off surprise appearance, even if it happened to a Raw or a SmackDown or something like they could hark back to the US title, the Open Challenge thing, and Cena could talk about that in a promo, and he said he's going to issue an Open Challenge for next week on SmackDown or right here tonight, or and for Metalingus to hit and Copeland to come out, that would be awesome for wrestling as wrestling fans, long term, short term, whatever. But perhaps we're in dreamland a little bit with it because it would mean WWE would have to compromise a little bit and do business with AEW. And I can't see that happening, to be totally honest.
No, I can't. I mean, you're right. If they don't have any time on the contract, he wouldn't necessarily need to sign another contract. It will just be, we need you for 3 appearances, or we just need you to answer the Cena, as you say. Cena could say, in my last match, I'm doing an open challenge in Boston, and someone's going to answer that challenge, and that someone turns out to be Edge. It just needs to be a one-shot deal, right? And then Edge and Cena could effectively then retire together, right? That's the other side of it.
Well, yeah, yeah, there is something in that as well.
But the world, we can dream. You're right. We can dream. I just think without the Edge thing, I don't like that John Cena retiring without facing Edge.
Yeah, I think because you're getting everything else in as well. You're getting the Punk stuff. You've had Orton.
Hmm.
The stuff with Cody. I suppose The Rock is another possibility.
Yeah,
Not sure what Rock's schedule is.
yeah,
But yeah, there's talk as well of Rock. Part of the reason of not wanting to be at WrestleMania is because of the going for an Oscar and this latest role that he's done, not really wanting to be shown as a heel. Um, so I don't know if you read that as well, but I heard that. So I don't know. I don't know if anything could change between now and December for The Rock and Cena to have a match. I think there's potential there as well. They had the two in a lifetime, with a once in a
yeah,
lifetime. They've got one win each. Given what happened with the ill-fated heel turn and what didn't play out, and seeing his comments that he's made, in kayfabe, to explain why he's no longer a heel, essentially, um, something could be done there as well. So we'll see. But I think they're kind of course corrected. I prefer this version of John in his last run. I think we fantasy booked the heel turn for years and years, and it was always going to struggle to reach the heights that it could have. But I think it was
yeah,
always doomed as well in some respects because it was his final run. So people didn't really want to boo for Cena, long term. We had a few fun moments, and the heel turn itself was pretty good, and a couple of the promos afterward as well. But I don't think people really wanted to boo Cena, and you could see that with the amount of merch he was still shifting.
yeah, exactly that. Good segment of our truth on SmackDown this week for those of you that didn't.
Yeah.
We'll come back with the WWE later and talk about the release. Well, the contracts, few contracts expired, and we'll talk about that in a minute. On to AEW. Obviously, we're literally what now, 2 weeks away from Forbidden Door, which is great for again a pay-per-view over here. Me and you, your dad, Rach, all going to see it, which we're looking forward to. We're looking forward to obviously meeting up with you and watching wrestling like we do. There's been a lot of matches. There's been a few matches added. We'll get to it. One of them that hasn't been actually something that Brian Cage mentioned when we was talking to him from what this week was that there was nothing from Hangman Adam Page yet.
Yeah.
His match hasn't been announced. Obviously, Tanahashi's got a match where his last match. Now, could they use that and bring in Adam Page for it? I've got another theory on Tanahashi, which we'll get to. Um, but could they use Adam Page against Tanahashi, or do you think they're going to go in a different direction with Adam Page at Forbidden Door?
Yeah, my answer when because Brian actually turned the tables on us and asked
He
us a
did.
question, and the question was, who do we think Hangman will be facing? My answer was Zack Sabre Jr. But obviously, with what happened on Collision,
Yeah.
that there's other plans. Zack will be on the card, which is great, but it won't be against Hangman.
No.
Um, I'm not up to date really on New Japan. I really need to have a bit of a deeper dive into what's going on there because I know there was Sonada, and I don't know what he's doing these days because he faced when he was the champion, wasn't he? When he
Mhm.
had a match at Forbidden Door last year or the one before.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be Tanahashi. It could be an open challenge. It could be a surprise. I would be absolutely astonished if Hangman isn't on the card.
Mm.
I believe he will be. Um, but yeah, as to who. Yeah, maybe because I think they've said Tanahashi will be his last match in the UK,
In the
or
UK, yes, in the UK.
so. To go out against the AEW champion would be quite a fitting way for him to sign off. Um, so yeah, maybe there, but I know you've got another theory.
Well, the theory is, and this coming Wednesday on Dynamite, we'll definitely know if that theory is right because
Yeah,
Cole Fletcher has basically challenged anybody laid out the challenge for him to defend his title against anybody, and he referenced Tanahashi in an X post or a Twitter post, or you want to call it
is
this.
that about his gear?
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah. So he's done that. So I didn't know whether the two were going to come together, and that's how it was going to work. Other than that, I really don't know. I think I chose Luke Jacobs to wrestle
Yes,
Hangman Adam Page, which yeah, it was very unlikely. But I wanted Hangers to go against one of them. I still potentially think he could go. He could do Hangman could do the Open Challenge, and that could be answered by Michael Oku. And there could be a run in from MJF. Those all three of those have got history. Michael Oku took on MJF about a year
Yeah,
ago, so there is legitimate history there, which it could happen. And it would be a great way for Michael Oku to be kind of announced as all elite, even though we think we know that he already is
yeah,
in many ways. But anyway, speaking of champions, and you mentioned Zack Sabre Jr., that is, he is going to be at Forbidden Door. And his championship, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, is going to be on the line against the winner of a fatal four-way match on Collision this week. And that fatal four-way match pits Lee Moriarty. Here we go against fucking Hichikurio. Fuck him. Fuck.
it's Sarah.
Thank you. Fucking ain't gonna be doing that much
Didn't
more.
want to jump in too quick. I wanted to see what you came up with.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm glad that you did jump in the bench. Danny Garcia and England's own Nigel McGuinness. Now, I was talking to you before this, just before we started, and you were kind of like, it's kind of McGuinness. You know, you would put your money on McGuinness on this one. Yeah, I mean, for me, I kind of agree with that, or Danny Garcia. And the question would be, is out of those two, Garcia and McGuinness, who would you rather face? And is McGuinness and Zach a kind of too much of a similar style to go in the ring with?
Yeah, I mean, just given the fact that it's in London, my prediction would definitely be Nigel.
Mhm.
However, we have had the history with Garcia and McGuinness, so perhaps if there's further plans there, then that could play into the outcome of the Fatal Four Way. Unfortunately, I don't think Moriarty's really got a shot in terms of being the one to go on to Forbidden Door. So I think it's one of two.
And I
Uh,
fucking hope that Hitch fucking him ain't gonna get
Sarah.
married. I'm glad.
Yeah, I mean, it could be him, but he's been kind of been featured as a bit of a, part of the Don Callis family, and yeah, he's been on TV a lot, but I just don't think he's going to be the one to get um, to get the big match really with Zach.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm sure it'd be a great match, but I think given that it's in London, something is going to happen with McGuinness. Either that will lead to a match with Garcia, or he'll win outright and he'll go on to London to face Zack Sabre Jr.
We'll find out. Another Brit that's got her opportunity this coming well in 2 weeks' time is Alex Windsor. She won her match on Dynamite to be a part of the Fatal Four Way for the AEW TBS Championship against it will be obviously Mercedes Moné defending. Alex Windsor will be in there. Someone from CM.LL and someone from Stardom will be joining the party for this one. I personally don't see Mercedes dropping this at Forbidden Door, unfortunately. But if she did currently, the only person I would want to see her drop to would be Windsor. But I do think that it's slightly too early for Alex to come in and win the championship at this point.
Yeah, possibly. I've been really pleased with
Mm.
her kind of call up or debut and on the main roster. I know she's had a few matches in the past for AEW,
Yeah.
but since being full time on the roster, I'm really happy with how they've been using her. Expected her to win that four-way, which again I really enjoyed the whole match.
Yeah. Good.
Um, all four of the women in there put on a great showing. Couple of I mean you could say it was slightly over choreographed, but like the did you see like the human centipede spot?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'd not seen that before, and yeah, it's great to have Sky Blue back as well. I know she's been back for a while, but get her in a few more matches. I thought it was a really, really good four-way. But yeah, Windsor, perhaps too soon to put that title on her,
Mm.
but I'm really glad. I think she's going to get a great reaction,
Sure.
and I just hope. My hope is because sometimes we get this with the women's division, they'll bring somebody new in and they'll get a bit of a push going into a big match at a pay-per-view. And
Yep.
then after that, it drops off and we don't see much of them. And there's countless examples of it. So I hope, regardless of what happens with this match, and I expect Monet to walk out, you know, the winner, I just hope they continue the focus with Windsor and because she could really establish herself as one of the top women in the division.
Yeah, she could do. I hope she does. She's tremendously talented, and that's not biasness because she's from England. She really is a brilliant talent, and long may it continue. A little bit sort of there was a little bit of issue with the Death Riders this week. It's seemingly, are we coming to the end of that? I suppose I say innings, but are we coming to the end of the Death Riders now? Is this going to be something that perhaps in 3 or 4 weeks' time they're kind of no, non-existent?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think we're getting towards that point. Um, I don't really know, given the fact that the story with the title and Moxley and the titles out of the briefcase,
Mhm.
I think there is a kind of almost how can you get that back?
Yeah,
It's done as far as I'm concerned. And I know you could you got Pac to come back hopefully at some
yeah.
point, and there's different things they could do. But yeah, I think the Death Riders time is coming to an end. I've enjoyed it on the whole, but I don't really know how they can get that momentum back. I fully expect Moxley at some point. I've predicted this in the past. I don't know what his contract status is, but
Mhm.
I do honestly believe that we will see Dean Ambrose again at some point in the future. That
Really?
might not, yeah, that might not be imminent, mate. That could be a year or a couple of years away. But I just think there's too much history there and there's too much potential. So I think Moxley, as much as a great, great servant, talent, in front of the camera and behind the scenes he's been for AEW, I do believe that because he's still in his prime, and I think he will be back in the WWE at some point. I'm not basing that on anything that I've heard. That's just a feeling as a fan, and just given how heavily featured Seth and Roman still are and will
Yeah.
continue to be. There's a third man, and I think the third man in the Shield. I think the finances, the potential creative, the stories they could do there, the stage that they've got to put that on, I could see it, mate. I know that Renee is also in AEW, which
Yeah.
might play a part, but I, I just I just strongly feel we'll get Dean Ambrose at some point back in the WWE.
Most interesting. Do you know what? You and Andy said that as well.
Yeah.
Wait. And I've never thought about it. I never thought about it. But you guys have planted the seed. It could well happen.
I just, it's at that point as well. He's been a multiple time AEW champion. We've seen him with his faction. We've seen the hardcore matches, the brutal matches with the likes of Hangman. Um, I just don't know how much more there is for Moxley to do in AEW. I
Yeah.
know he likes the freedom. I know he likes to be able to do the indies, but there is going to be a time. I mean, he must be around 40, right? That kind of late 30s, early 40s, I would guess. So there is going to be a time when he's not, as much as he wants to do it, and he'll want to do every show in GCW and, the death matches. There's going to be a time when he's not going to be able to physically do it.
Mm.
And I think one last really financially rewarding run in the WWE would just be too much for anybody to turn down, particularly if they're offering him WrestleMania, a WrestleMania triple threat, Roman, Seth, and Ambrose, or even all three of them together again at some point against three up and coming stars, whether that could be Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker as two of those three, given what's happening with the Vision. So yeah, that's my longer term prediction for Moxley. I know you only asked about Death Riders in the next few
No,
weeks, but
it's fine.
yeah,
It's fine. It's
I-
fine. It's good to see. The other thing we mentioned Moxley. Looks like we're gonna have Darby Allin at
yeah.
Forbidden Door. So we'll see what type of match he has it in as well, because that's something that could certainly be an interesting match. They'll probably try and kill each other around London, which shouldn't be too hard. They could just go on the streets, and that'll be something they could easily do. But moving on quickly to TNA. Quick on TNA. It was announced during Slammiversary. Actually, the challenge was laid down. It's been accepted. Bound for Glory in October this year. Matt and Jeff, one last time against Bubba Ray and Devon, the Dudley Boys, this October. TNA supports Bound for Glory. Sorry, presents Bound for Glory, and two legendary teams getting one more chance to prove to the world why they're two of the best teams in the world.
Is it a standard match or is it a ladder match?
As it stands right now, it's a standard, but we know full well this is the Hardy Boys, this is the Dudley Boys. could well change before Bound for Glory in October.
Yeah, I'm all right with this, to be honest. Maybe that's because of um, the history and when these two teams were really breaking in. We were part of that as fans. There might be. I'd be interesting to know what like newer fans think of this, whether that's something
Yeah.
they're clamoring for, or whether it's something that, no, we've seen this so many times. But I don't think anybody would really begrudge this match. I'm sure it will do good ratings for TNA as well.
Mm.
Um, it'll get more eyes on it than would be without this match, I suppose. So, yeah, I hope they don't like do anything too dangerous because they are a lot older now than those original TLC and ladder matches.
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy's always got something up his sleeve and one more risk in him. So I'm sure we'll see something. But yeah, I think that's great. I'm happy with that. I'm looking forward, and it would certainly, if it wasn't something that I'd want to check out anyway, it would certainly be something that I would be checking out that because that match has been added, I suppose. So from more casual fans or occasional TNA fans, I think that's a really good thing for them.
Yeah, maybe a street fight. Let's maybe do that way. Let's not get him climbing ladders again anytime
Yeah.
anytime
I
soon.
could do something like we had ladder matches, we had TLC, we had all these types of matches, but we never had a whatever match, whether that's a street fight or cage or whatever it is. I'm sure they had a cage match. But yeah, I'm expecting there to be some kind of stipulation. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's not down as like a retirement match, is it? It's just like one last time Hardys
One
against
last time.
Dudleys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One last time.
Yeah, I think there's a place in the world of wrestling right now for that match to happen.
And it will be happening. Bound for Glory in October, a couple of months away yet. Not had no build to that yet, but the Hardys do have the New Look Rascals this coming Friday at TNA Emergence. And why not give a quick plug? TNA Plus. Get the app downloaded, get it subscribed. If you want to watch just Impact, you can just get the monthly package and you can just watch all the TNA impacts. If you want to watch the shows like Emergence and Bound for Glory, get that the annual championship pack, or you can just buy the pay-per-views as and when that you want to as a stand. If you just want to watch Impact as a standalone, you can do that. I would recommend. I've got the championship package, but there you go. I'm a sucker for wrestling subscriptions, right? There's so many of them. Speaking of subscriptions, I had to get a VPN now so I can watch NWA. Quick note on that, Dave. I know it's absolutely nothing. This will probably go over your head, but Crockett Cup continued this week on NWA. It was a really good week of action. We had a no limit main event between Kylie Page and Natalia Markova, which shows you the strength and depth in the NWA's women's division and why I rate their women's division so highly. Go and check out.
Yeah,
They had a kendo stick to the coochie, I think's the word that they called it. That was the nether regions of the ladies. One of them bit the other one's ass, which to get out of a submission, I think. So that's a fairly
innovative.
innovative way. Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't think we'd ever see a man do that in a men's match anyway. I don't think we'd ever see, unless it was like Rico or somebody like that from back in the.
Yeah,
But yeah, look, NWA on Roku for those of you in America, for those of you in the UK, those of you outside of the US, Canada, and Mexico, it will be a VPN job. And try and me and Fiona have the same VPNs. Mine works perfectly. Hers takes about a day to work. So
apparently there is a huge surge in uh, VPN searches on search engines in America after the ESPN announcement.
was there really?
For what? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I
Waiting.
think
Yeah.
more
Uh,
people kind of finding ways to jump onto the UK. Well, the Netflix, I suppose, and because we get everything, we get all the pay-per-views, we get Raws, SmackDowns, NXT. So
It's
yeah,
about time we got something better than them from a
yeah,
wrestling
yeah,
perspective, right? I'm not going to complain too much. I mean, I have to buy as a secondary VPN for NWA, but that's my fault for
yeah.
choosing.
Well, the Crockett Cup is the tag cup, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah. To be fair, it has already. The only thing with the NWA is it is filmed so that the Crockett Cup actually was filmed back in May.
okay.
Probably can find the winners of that tournament. But they are taping this coming weekend. Actually, they are taping. NWA 77, the biggest anniversary in wrestling. See, this is bigger than WrestleMania 1 because this was going around for 77 years, the NWA. So they'll be taping their special anniversary taping this coming Saturday. So if maps is right, it will probably be around October time that we'll get
Okay,
this,
cool.
that.
Is Trevor Murdoch still one of their big
He
stars?
is tag team champion with Mike Knox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Remember that name?
WWE, yeah, he was in WWE and TNA, wasn't he? He was in Aces and Eights.
He was indeed. They're also got Bram is the heavyweight champion, or as I know him, Tom Latimer.
Yeah.
He's the champion. He's repping the 10 pounds of gold. Damian Sandow is there as well.
Okay.
Rodney Mack,
Yeah.
so maybe a name that you
That's a
remember.
name that I haven't heard for a long time, Rodney Mack.
Rodney Mack. Well, I can't tell you who he is because he's using a mask. He's in a mask.
Ah, okay.
There's also another one in a mask as well that I know who it is, and he's used to be in. Do you remember the Ascension in the WWE?
Yeah.
Not the big, not the fucking hench Brian Cage lookalike, the other one.
Yeah.
Him,
Victor, was it? Victor
Victor.
and
He
Connor.
plays a
Yeah.
character in the
Yeah.
NWA as well. Rich Swann is going to be there this in the end in the for 77. He's back in TNA now. Actually, he returned this week to TNA
Cool.
wrestling. But he's at the Colognes are in the NWA. Primo and Epico, they're in there as part. They're in the Crockett Cup as we speak. So there's names Natalia Neidhart's wrestling at the Crockett Cup. She has wrestled at the Crockett Cup. Sorry, Match with Kenzie Page will be airing in a few weeks. So it's
A
definitely a
lot of good
place.
stuff happening in NWA.
Lots
Yeah.
of good stuff. And the territory stuff. I mentioned Exodus Pro Wrestling. So a bit like the old days when we were growing up, Dave, the territory, NWA brought back the territories. They've got territory brands. One of those is EC3's promotion, which is Exodus Pro. Done a lot of work with them over this coming weekend. We interviewed a few of their talents this week as well. And we're going to continue to do so next week. And we're going to review Watch the Throne, which happened last night. But they've also got the Harley Race MLW, Major League Wrestling, the Harley Race territory. That's part of them as well. They had a show last night as well. They've also got Crossfire Wrestling. They've got NWA Chicago. They've got Dog Pound Wrestling. They've got TSW and they've got Joe Kazana Promotions as well. So and a New Mexico promotion now, I believe. So lots of promotions. Tooth Guerrero is the champion of Crossfire Wrestling.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, that's interesting though with what they're doing there. Hopefully it's it's a success financially and they can get some traction with it and get some bigger TV deals as well.
Yeah, I think also, I mean, I was watching that Exodus Pro last night, and I tell you, I mean, some of the stars that were at wrestling on them, they had a LJ Cleary who's just had a WWE tryout. He's the fiance of Lara Vakira.
Yeah, he's in the crowd, wasn't he?
He
Yeah.
was, yeah, he wrestled last night against a guy called Brandon Beretta, and those two put on an absolute clinic of a match. And you know, I think the future of the NWA, if they're going down to those territories to pick the next big stars, they've got plenty to choose from. So I think the future is very bright for the NWA. But a UK television deal would be great
Yeah, yeah.
if we could make it happen. And actually tour the UK as well, because I'd like to come see. But funnily enough, one of them, a couple of the stars are going to be wrestling in the UK in the coming weeks and months. Not for the end, well, as part of the NWA, but they're coming down as an independent contracted talent. I hope to catch Latimer the next time he's down as well. EC3 does it a lot as well. He comes over quite a bit. So keep your eyes peeled on wrestling's posters. But yeah, NWA, future looking bright
Cool.
there. Back to WWE before we finish with Buckle Up, Dave. Okay, so there was two or three names really today that come out that has apparently left the WWE. One of them I'm pretty confident that has, which we'll go into now, which is Ashante the Adonis, part of Hit Row twice, once under the tutelage of Rich Swann and AJ Francis, sorry, as
Yeah.
well. He's gone. It's not that one is not really by surprise. He never really got the opportunity to do anything. He seems a really good wrestler, and we always say, "Oh, I could see him here, I can see him there." Is he one of these guys, Dave, that you think actually get on the independents, make a name for yourself? Because the independents in which Bear Bronson, prime factor that we interviewed him a few weeks ago. He's
Yeah.
doing well at GCW, right? Get on the independents, reintroduce the world to whoever the character that you're going to be, other than Ashante the Adonis. Show everyone how good you are, and then perhaps he he'll get an opportunity elsewhere. Because without being disrespectful to him, I wouldn't be if I'm Tony Khan. I'm not picking up the phone to him anytime soon. If I'm TNA, the roster there is just kind of at a peak. I don't think right now is the right time. So would it be a case for you that you'd hit those independents and get noticed again like you did before, really?
I think so, mate. Yeah, I think there's that many opportunities for him. So yeah, it's by no means all doom and gloom. I mean, you mentioned AJ Francis there. I mean, he was kind of ridiculed on his way out of
Yeah.
WWE, and he's gone on and done some pretty cool things, hasn't he? And he's had a run in TNA, hasn't he?
Mhm.
And he's done all right there. So yeah, it's by no means the end for him, but not a massive surprise to be honest. He's one of those names that you would expect if when they do the annual cuts, which I don't really think they've done this year. They haven't done a big, like a huge
About seven
list,
or eight,
have they?
wasn't there, with
There's a handful.
Strowman and everyone like that, wasn't it?
There was Baszler, was that this year?
Yeah, she's a producer now. She was producing in NXT. I don't know if that's still the case, but she's
Cool.
back as a producer.
But
But
yeah, there hasn't
Strowman,
like
sorry,
so I mean what, sorry?
Strowman's really come out and obliterated WWE this week. Actually, there was a tweet that he
I
said
know he tweeted he's going into films apparently.
he's
He's
got something else going on as well with food and drink. I think something.
yeah. Okay. But yeah, not Ashanti did on it's not a huge surprise. As you said, the other one was more interesting, I suppose.
Well, the other one is one that I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just reading literally as we're talking, and so I always say to you, I'm not being rude. I'm just constantly scrolling through in case something happens. So the rumor has it that Karrion Cross and Scarlett, well, their contracts were up anyway. Their contracts are up this week. He was today, even as of now.
Yeah.
Apparently, a contract was offered by the WWE, if you believe reports. But as of right now, they are being removed. They're on the is it alumni section?
Alumni.
Alumni, thank you. I'm really no good with pronunciation today. Alumni section on WWE, and I'm just reading that they've been removed from the internal rosters. Now, Austin Theory was that as well this week, but his injury is an injury related issue. We all know the WWE shock factor is their thing, right? That's what they've been doing. That's what we saw with Brock. We saw it with Seth, things like that. I have a theory that perhaps this that they may stay silent for 2 weeks or something like that. Cody beats Drew at Clash in Paris, and Karrion Cross comes out and attacks Cody at the end of that show, and basically then we know that he's back in the WWE.
Mm.
That's how I see it. Um, do you think they're gone, or and if they are, well, I think we had this conversation last week or the week before, like with the rosters stacked everywhere else, would he be another one that may be better on the independent scene?
I would love Karrion Cross to go to AEW as an AEW big fan.
Mm.
Uh, there is that. I mean, with what they've just done with Rollins, there's people suspecting that this could be another work. I don't know if you've had the opportunity yet to listen to Paul Heyman's interview with
Yes,
Ariel Helwani,
yes, I did.
and they talk like specifically about Cross, and Heyman was kind of hinting at, the groundswell of support that Cross is getting. Is that because of how WWE are doing it? I
Hmm.
don't believe that to be the case, to be honest. I do think he has been kind of mishandled,
Yeah.
and I think there's matches where he should have won, and they should have capitalized on this popularity a few months ago, to be honest. They constantly tell us about the long-term stories, but they also seem to have no problem, um, you know, course correcting or doing something based on the reaction or based on what the fans want. So I do really think they've missed a huge opportunity here, and that loss to Sami Zayn recently, that looked to me like somebody that was leaving WWE, and that was his kind of last appearance in the company. So I think he's gone. Um, Love to be proved wrong. I would love him to get what the emphasis, the big
Hmm.
matches, and attacking the world champion or universal champion. You can't get any better than that. So I would love your prediction to come true. I suspect that he has left, though. I did have a look earlier. I couldn't see. He was on the website. He wasn't showing it in alumni, but I'd read that that's where he'd been moved to.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that he's gone. Um, that's just my gut feeling with it.
We'll see. Hopefully, look, we'll see what happens. And look, Karen, I mean, if you are gone and you're not signing anywhere and you fancy talking about your book and anything else, we're right here. Hi, Carrion Cross. Hi, Scarlett. We're right here. We're happy to talk to you because obviously contract expiry means no 90-day number.
Well,
So
yeah, and then you start getting like thinking about Forbidden Door, and you start thinking about, but I don't necessarily see that. I think if it was an all in and there was a casino battle royale,
well, how
like
do we know there isn't going to be a battle royal?
well, there might be, yeah. And if something like that gets in, we're just getting a bit close to it now, and it'd be a little bit rushed. But we have got an all out to come, haven't we?
We do. September.
So that's always a big show for AEW. So and there's New Japan, as you say, there's the Indi there's so much, there's so many options out there. But for me, it's similar to like I heard Shelton Benjamin talking, where can he go to make the most money? And I think outside of the WWE, I think that's AEW.
It is.
Um, if in the past we might have saw him go back to TNA, but given the relationship with WWE and TNA, I couldn't see that. I think if he's staying in WWE, he'll stay on Raw and SmackDown rather than go over to TNA.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think he's either re-signing and they might do something like you suggested. He might just go completely quiet, and then we get that, that return or that surprise, or we see him turn up in AW at some point with Scarlett, obviously.
Well, you could turn up a buckle up in that case at the moment.
Yeah,
I'm
get
just
that rumor started.
yeah. Let's give Chris more of a fucking stress. They'll give all giving him. Yeah, look, we're going to touch on that quickly now. So those of you that know, those of you that social media will know, we're doing the third installment of Buckle Up, the final. Thankfully, the final, and I don't mean that in any disrespect, but thankfully, the final Buckle Up with Ignite. It doesn't mean we're going to be doing it anywhere else. It's just if you don't know about promoting a show, and I've had the luxury of kind of seeing it for myself now. Yeah, you don't want to do it. But anyway, that being said, we had some good bad news and some good news this week. The bad news is that Man Like Doris is going to be on tour in the US, so will not be able to make Buckle Up. The good news is that the anomaly, jeez, Will Cruz, fresh from his WWE tryout, will be at Buckle Up this coming September, September the 21st. Tickets are 75% sold. That's good with 6 weeks. So we're getting there. Obviously, guys, tap in 96 Eventbrite, type Buckle Up free in there, and you will be able to get yourself a ticket. Match announcement coming tomorrow from Ignite. That's what I've been told. That's what they put out on social media. So match announcement tomorrow. That'll be match number 3 of 6 that are going to be announced. Obviously, our match is already announced for our championship. That'll be Aluna against the debuting Alexis Falcon, which should be a uh, a great match for our championship. Obviously, Tommy Kyle against the spectacular twat Charles Crowley has been booked as well. I know of another name that is coming, and it's not Karrion Cross, but I know another name that is coming to Ignite as well. It'll be a big return though, because he's worked there once. I've said he, so you know it's going to be a male. Um, yeah, really excited for that when Ignite announce it. But yeah, get down in 96 Eventbrite, type in Buckle Up free, get your tickets while you can. Dave, it's been a week in wrestling, as always. Thank you. We've had a decent week. Big thanks to Brian Cage. Anyway, I forgot to thank him before when we was talking about him. But big thanks to him taking time out of his rehab and everything that he's doing. And we hope that the bad news that you got. We hope that we'll get you in that ring, back in that ring, very very soon. Dave's been a great week talking to you as always. I'm sure, I hope that you'll be back next week because it's the week before we meet up for so full disclosure, guys. We'll do the week in wrestling next week. The week after, of course, is Forbidden Door, so that won't be happening because me and Dave will be at Forbidden Door. Apparently, it starts at 4:30 with 0 hour.
Yeah.
So we're going to
We'll
have
get
about
places in our Pepsi deck.
in the Pepsi deck, yeah, watching 22 matches by the sounds of it, but still good. Be a good night of wrestling, right? So potentially we would be back. So after the next week when we'll do it, the week after will probably be the Monday night when we got to review what we've been to see, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Get your phone ready to take some notes.
Unless we're at Raw in Birmingham, which considering.
You want to remortgage your house and go to Raw.
No. Well, I'm guessing there might be some tickets come up nearer, so I'm keeping my eye on it, but I'm not paying
You know
five.
what? That's what a lot of the streamers do.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of those super fans that you see, like that guy, that Brock Lesnar guy, right? The one that always, you saw it.
Yeah.
He goes late and try and gets a ticket cheap. cheap.
Well, when I went to the Royal Rumble a couple of years ago,
Oh,
I yeah, there were
what
in
a
San
breakfast.
Antonio, there was I didn't know this happened, but there were people that go in their feet seat fillers, nothing to do with feet. And they turn up, and any gaps in the crowd where there's like single tickets, particularly on the hard camera, they just give them a wristband and it's free entry. I mean, it's a gamble because they might not
Yeah,
necessarily get a ticket. They might go with a friend and they might not be sitting with their friend.
yeah.
But yeah, people do it. The super fans go out there and do it. But I'll probably, I'll just see. For me, Birmingham, obviously, closest place that I could go to see a WWE event. So I am half, well, I'd like to go, but I don't want to be spending £500 for a ticket, which is what they're going for at the minute.
Well, there you go. Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that at all. And if you do go, I'll do the Forbidden Door review maybe on my own if you do go. But we'll have pictures. We'll get pictures together like we will do. We get pictures of everything else. We might even do a few lives from our seats at Forbidden Door because
Yes, yes.
we are in a great deck where there is actually nobody behind us or nobody, well, as in directly behind us and nobody directly in front of us. They're on the tiers. We're in like a very special row, which is very, very nice. Indeed. So we'll look at that for sure. Coming up on the podcast this week, we continue Exodus Pro with, I think his name's Towboy, more like Moddy is his name on socials, but I think it's Towboy. He was at Exodus Pro show on Saturday, yesterday, so I need to look at him. Also, and I've said this quite a lot, if you guys open up Spotify, go to if we wrote the theme and the people behind that, David Bartholomew and Will Scar, will be joining me on Thursday. So this will be stuff that you'll be seeing in the coming weeks. And then on the following week, on the Monday, the top 10 returns. You're not fucking going to be on that. No, not for any bad reason. The top 10 does return. We'll be looking at the top 10 or giving our top 10 oh my God wrestling moments. And to do that, I've got in a TikToker with over 4 million likes on TikTok because that's what she does. She plays those types of games. So I thought, who better to bring on than Renee? Her handle is Hey, it's Renee. So she'll be joining us then. Also, we're going to be bringing the big 7 foot Jack Talos to NWA Spotlight, me and Fee, that week as well. Tommy Tanner, the absolute geezer, who you will see at Buckle Up at Ignite. Tremendous talent. He's making his debut at TNT. Literally following that match, he was booked. The guy from TNT was down at Ignite, watched that match, and booked him and Denzel Mack from that triple threat match. So that gives you an idea of how good that talent both of them are. He'll be joining me on Independent Spotlight the following week as well. So lots coming up. Some other big names on the horizon. Just need to finalize some dates and times. Dave's been great. I'll see you next week. We hope to see you
Yep.
next week. Follow us, HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, and all other social media outlets. Until then, everybody, as it's not AEW, it's my turn. Buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.